Why, hello everybody, it is Robbie from Southern California, and today, I cannot believe, is December 1st. A lot in December. Gary's birthday's in December, our anniversary, gosh, almost 30 years is in December. So a lot going on in December and the holidays still. I decided to start the garden tour on this side and do a loop. And I'm going to really try to get through this a little quicker than usual because really not much is going on. I'll show you what's going on here though. Gary is still working on this, but he slowed down on this project because I think he's already started a new one. And he's going to come back and he wants this all done in the spring. Look at the little flycatcher up there. I love them. They're so beautiful. They hang around here and they catch all kinds of insects all the time. All in all, the fish in the bathtub are doing good. He's still working on this. I think he's going to put a liner on that one. And of course, this will have a liner, but he's going to show you exactly how he made all his rocks. He's got a mad method of making his rock. Once it's all done, we can landscape this in with probably pomegranate trees, since we have so many. And the birds love hiding in pomegranate trees. And then get more aloe vera around and who knows what else. Probably even tomato plants. I've got some there. Let's swing around here and you can see really not much on the wall. There's still squash growing, and that's why I'm leaving it. Some of them are really hanging on. But as you can see, we're in the morning, and we don't have a whole lot of sun here. It kind of comes and goes because of the big tree and the way the sun is positioned this time of the year. We're slowly getting to the shortest day, and it drops down so low that it does create a lot of shade back here, which is fine because you know what? It's a nice break. Things to do and think about, we can do that now and unwind and start to create soil. So come spring, when I really want to get serious, I don't have to go out and buy anything. I'll have enough of my own compost I made this time of the year, and then just buy a little bit if I want. I could buy the best or I could buy the cheapest. If I buy the cheapest, well, that's okay too because I'm making my own soil. And if I want to buy the best, that's fine, and you could do the same thing. Here's a chair garden. Yes, no sun, so things are kind of slowing down here. If I had no food, I've talked about this before, I could easily and quickly move it to a different section in the yard. But being that we have so much food going on here, there's no reason for me to move it. In fact, I'm already thinking about the new garden that's going to go here made out of chairs, and slowly started to paint some of them. Oh, I'm starting purple and I'll get them all painted up, and come spring I'll have them all ready to go. And yes, you can paint flower pots. So that's what's going on here. What is really going on in here? Let's see. We've got all kinds of lettuce growing, and I have to move them soon. If I don't, I will lose them. Gary mentioned in one of the videos that some of the lettuce he took from me didn't really grow good. I realized that he took it at the wrong stage. There's a stage that you can move it and a stage you cannot. I can still move a lot of this. This is all lettuce that came, off the plants that were growing here, and they can be moved. But once they get to a certain stage, it's too late. You can't move them. Once you move them, they'll just grow to a certain height and then bolt right away. The tomatoes, the garlic chives, I've got parsley growing. They're all still going good. Now, the tomatoes aren't ripening as quickly as they would in the summer. So at this point, I may have to help them by taking them off when they're at a good size and putting them in a sunny window. Celery's growing. Pepper plants are hanging in. This has been interesting. This I put up here for hummingbirds. There was a hummingbird feeder on here, and I've noticed that this is creating a shield, and because of that, the peppers are still growing. This is loaded with peppers. More and more peppers keep showing up. Let me show you this one over here. This is the cardboard box that I'll probably take apart later on in the spring. We'll see. This has all been wrapped in a plastic tablecloth, but the tablecloth's starting to fall apart and I don't want it to shred. But look at the basil plant. Same thing. I put this up for a hummingbird feeder, and this is the best basil plant. I don't want all these flowers. I leave a few for the bees. But this is the best basil plant on the property, and it's shielded by the plastic. So that plastic tote lid is creating either heat, not so much wind, because the wind will be coming up the canyon. Gary's got his bees down there, and it blows up here. I'm not sure what this is doing. It might be reflection. but it seems to be really helping that plant. And then, of course, even the sage is doing good, and the tomato plant is starting to take off here. So I'm not sure what the tote lid is doing, but it's doing the same thing. This old tote lid here is really helping this pepper plant. So that's something to think about. We'll have to kind of think about why these plants are doing so well. All in all, the eggplant is starting to take off. There's my parsley back there. Here's another pepper plant. See, this one's much smaller. Tomato plants are starting to grow. These are fine. A lot of these tomato plants will stay dormant. Some of them will stay really tiny. Come spring, when the sun shifts, they'll take off. So then I can just keep the strongest ones. I'm really pleased with my chair garden. That's my favorite garden. I can't wait to get back into the spring with this and get another garden here. Now let's continue on down the wall. That's garlic chives that had gone the flower and their seeds. I've got the 2 moringa trees. There's one there, and there's the other one. So far, so good. I planted them this year. I haven't trimmed that eggplant. Here is the one I did a video on the bucket. I love buckets. We're going to get into more reasons why buckets could be really good for people with small backyards. Well, big backyards too. You know, just real quick, they are building that house up there, and that's the pounding. But look at, they're almost ready to put those walls up, and then they can work inside, and I don't have to hear the hammering all day and the sawing. Buckets are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I set this one up. I'm not sure yet what I want to plant in here. So what I did was I put some lettuce on top, and these are really starting to take off. And the chairs are in there for now until I change it up in the spring, and I'm going to set up more. I'm creating soil in that bucket. So this is the reason I love it. We'll do a full video on it. But come spring, if I have not planted in that bucket and I'm just layering, I can pick that bucket up and I can dump it into any of the totes. Or if you were planting in the ground, you could put it in the ground. You could clear an area, dump the compost you made in the buckets and put it in the ground. Or you could sit that bucket next to plants. And we'll get into that too later. So there's a lot you can do with buckets. This is just the old plants that are still growing, and they're still producing. I mean, I came out here the other day and I look at this. They're still producing squash. I'm picking the small ones. I haven't even picked the big ones. Like I said, come, maybe in the winter or in spring, and when I'm ready to plant, I'll start, I hate to use the word butchering, but I might start taking a lot of them down that I don't want and going through. This one is still growing and growing. This is unbelievable. I just picked, there's more zucchini coming up there. I just picked one off yesterday, and these are watermelons. They're so big. I don't want them that big. So I picked one that was about 18 inches yesterday and made a whole meal out of it. The peppers, I've been picking cucumbers. I cannot believe that against the wall, it is still flowering and it is still growing cucumbers. So we've been getting cucumbers off this sad-looking plant, but it's getting enough energy to grow cucumbers. There's more yellow flowers down there. This I'm layering because I'm not sure what I'm going to grow in here. So I just put some pots. This is a purple tree colored, so we'll see what happens. There's an eggplant in there, and I guess there's a lettuce. There's lettuce everywhere. Lettuce seeds fly off my romaine lettuce and just grow everywhere. There's the cobra, black cobra peppers, and this is the Malabar spinach. Really didn't do much with it, but it's a fascinating plant. I love the berries. I use that for dyes, cake decorating, and all kinds of stuff, frosting. This is cool. I've showed you this. These were tiny baby walking onions. I've got a tomato plant leaned in here. Look how gorgeous. I'm getting ready so when Gary gets his pond together, those are going to be dropped in those cement blocks. And they're going to grow so good in there. And look at all the onions I'm going to have. Let's just keep walking through here. I've got peppers growing, tomatoes, nothing new. Just so you know, this is nothing new. This is a Brad's Atomic Tomato, and this is actually a real one off the seeds I purchased. Didn't do as good as the ones that came up, the hybrids. They did really good. Still got peppers growing, more tomatoes, more peppers down there. More peppers, tomatoes, and here's a beautiful tree color that's starting to take off. Purple tree colored. Swiss chard coming up, green Swiss chard. These I haven't done anything with. That's what I'm saying. I really haven't done anything. But this one took off. Look at the tomatoes on this. Now this is getting enough sun So I think, whoa, I just knocked it. I got to get that staked up. It just suddenly took off like mad. I've got to stake that up pretty good because that is loaded and heavy with tomatoes, and that I will do today. Celery, this is celery seed. So I'm going to need to either collect it, I really don't need to, or compost it. I'll probably end up composting it. Look at the tomatoes back here. They really do need sun, and that's when they'll ripen good. Now see, here's a basil plant. It's not doing anywhere near as nice as the green basil's doing on the other side with that, tote lid. So I'm not sure. And there's sage, and that's the only time I've got. That is my time, this little plant. I've got to get more time going. I need more time. I always need more time. And then a few carrots are left in here. I want to pick those. Tomato plants trying, and they'll probably come up in the spring. They'll start really growing. They'll just kind of hang in there, but there's carrots in there. And then the eggplant. And a conglomerate of all kinds of stuff in here. That little turmeric that I thought was dried up, no good, took off, and that's kind of dying back now because we have such cold nights. I've got the purple basil still growing, a tomato plant in there. I'll clean that up later. I see some Swiss chard, and I do believe there is some stevia in there as well. Now here is my cabbage. So I've got cabbage coming up now. Wanted to protect them a little bit. So if anything wanted to come in and look at it, even birds are not sure about the plastic. So that's worked out really good. These are my special onions. We'll see what happens with them. These are white onions, but they grew as onions on top of the white onion. They're not walking onions. They're white onions. And then the same thing here. I don't think I need this on this right now. This is just water jugs. And this is to protect the plants a little bit. Keeps insects off and keeps the birds off and even keeps roly-polies or anything that might get in there. But they're doing really good. So we'll see. A little slow, I think, but growing from seed, maybe it's not that slow. And there's buckets. I am buying buckets. I am crazy about buckets. But anyways, I do love my totes. I'm not giving up my totes. That is the driveway. Let's take a walk in the front yard. Again, keep in mind, we're not doing that much right now. I'm thinking. I'm still growing. As you can see, everything you see is food. I am collecting zucchini off of this. I'm collards and greens. We've got plenty of food. Food is not an issue. Let's go to the front yard. We are now in the front yard. Like I said, I haven't done anything. I've left my dinosaur kale just the way it's growing, trim it back later and decide how I want to do that. I've got other kale growing in here, and I've got tomatoes in here. I haven't set these up at all yet. I've got a lot of red vein sorrel growing. There's one, and there's one. I want to redo that. That's a tree collard cutting. And this is a purple tree collard. One of the first ones, you probably saw it. The deer chewed it down. It took off. I got to collect all those leaves. And then I've got some broccoli growing in here, and I've got more tree collard. That's a cutting. And let's see what else is in here. I'm kind of moving my blueberries around. I'm going to replant them in there. I've got blueberries back there. Sneak peek. This is what Gary wanted 10 of. See if anybody was paying attention. We're going to talk about that later. This is amazing. So anyways, we've got walking onions down here. I even planted some geraniums. They've got mint everywhere. Mint is a good thing to have. And like I said, everything is kind of wild because I haven't done anything. I don't plan on doing anything until spring here because I've got plenty. I mean, look here. I've got all the onions and walking onions I want. I even have onions growing. These are the onions that I didn't pick. They're starting to grow again. So I've got onions, and this is flat leaf parsley. I've got garlic chives and celery, and there's just plenty. As far as food, we have more than enough. So I don't have to worry and go out. Look at that. I have broccoli. So I don't really have to do anything right now, but just use what we've got, clean up a little bit, reorganize. I think there's going to be something new, Gary told me going in, somewhere in the front yard. So now that he's got a project he's going to do here and share with you, I might as well wait and let him do his project in here. And then I can organize the way I want. Oh, my flag has seen better days. That goes in the trash. This is cuttings. You've seen it. That is the purple sprouting broccoli and then the bricks. It's been really cold at night. We're getting down to about 40, and that is actually cold for a lot of these plants. I think it even got a little cooler in a couple of nights. So all in all, they're still doing good. These were tiny, tiny little walking onions. You couldn't even see them when I put them in. So I think they're doing really good. So that's going good. And then I still have tomatoes growing. See, the cold is knocking around some of these plants. They're losing a lot of leaves, but that's okay. Leaves are my future soil when it comes to spring. And then, of course, my ginger. I've got ginger here. I need to get some ginger. I got to make ginger cookies. I've got my ginger growing here, and I'm going to set up more ginger this spring, and then all this is going to have to be harvested. I've got the stevia that has gone to flower. This is the stevia. So we still have plenty of leaves back there, but all the turmeric, it's already losing its leaves. They do not like the cold weather, so it's knocking them back. And this is the black turmeric. Let's get in here. This one is the black turmeric. And I think I'm going to have Gary harvest it. At least I labeled it. And look, it's still held. How did I label? On a fork with a piece of plastic tape. And it's all year it stood there, and it's letting me know that's the black turmeric. So I think I'm going to have Gary harvest it and see what grew in there. And then the rest is a lot of turmeric. There's a lot of ginger in the back, but turmeric ended up in the front the way I put him in here. And they did really, really well. So I want to get that harvested, get through that, and see what we're going to keep, what we're going to eat now, what we're going to freeze, and what we're going to regrow. And this is ginger. Remember, ginger's got the skinny leaves. Oh, I want to show you something. Look at this. Gary saw it last night. Look at this. He was so excited. This is a ginger flower. This is ginger. We've never had ginger flower. And I think since this one is flowering this time of the year, look at that. We can even get in here and see the ginger. Look at that. I will not be harvesting this ginger as far as cutting anything away. This is very special. To have it flower in a pot is very, very special. So I will cater to that. Let's move it back. Obviously, it likes it like that. And we'll make sure it gets a little bit of sunlight. But Gary was excited. We actually came out here last night and was watering it, and he was looking at him, and he goes, wow, your ginger and turmeric has done so well. And I said, do you want to harvest and let everybody see what's in there? Because after all, that teeny little piece I took from him, he planted some in his yard, and he said it got knocked around. It's there, but he said it's nowhere near as big as mine. I told him, go ahead and harvest it. And as he was looking through, he goes, did you see this? And I said, no. And he pushed everything over. You've got a flower. I said, well, you've got a flower too. And he goes, not ginger. I have turmeric. You have a ginger flower. So we're really excited over that. It might be nothing, but to us, it's our first ginger flower. So we're very, very excited. Let's walk through the main garden. Like I said, we don't need to make this long because I'm only maintaining my garden. I'm cleaning my garden. You've seen it in some of my videos, and I'm deciding how I want to set this up. I am really thinking, and I'm still thinking of changing this garden around and making it more bird friendly. It is bird friendly, believe you me. We have tons of birds living in here, but even more bird friendly. But I still want to, I don't know, I have to think about how I want to do it. I want to kind of cater to the birds here. So we allow them to come in and eat what they want, but we get food too. So my mind is still working on it. Yes, this is an avocado tree. It's the ravens that are going around stealing avocados, and as they fly in the sky, they've been dropping avocado pits everywhere, and I am finding them coming up everywhere. Okay, let's look in here. This is this big thing that Gary found in the trash a few years ago, and we set it up here, and I plant squash in here. So I've just been dumping any kitchen scraps or anything that I don't know where I want to put it right now in here. Let it do its things. I don't care if animals get in here and dig around. It doesn't bother me. Everything's going to break down. Look at even papaya he put in there. And then I can take some of this if I don't have kitchen scraps at the time if I'm setting something up. So this is just going to sit like that. I've got broccoli coming up, and I think this is gone. I think my old 5-6-year-old dinosaur kale has finally seen its day. So I'm not going to just pull it out. It meant something to me. I grew that for years. Eventually, they all died back, I believe. All what you see here are cuttings from the original ones that we had. I believe there was 4 or 5 I had planted, years ago, and they lasted, but this was the longest. But the leaves were small this year, and they didn't do much. I tried to take some cuttings from it, but it was too late, and they just didn't sprout. So I'm going to go through this, take it out in the spring, but I think I'm going to make some projects out of that. The wood is beautiful. Look at that. The trunk is just beautiful. So I'll use it for maybe some water feature projects and different things because it's a little sentimental to me. There's my purple tree collard I bought on eBay. It's doing good, but it still never grew that trunk it should have. And I think I told you the cutting wasn't right. Something wasn't right on it, but it's fine. Look at all this. Every single branch is a plant. So when I'm ready, I can cut them off, trim them back, leave some leaves on the top, and get a ton of it growing. I haven't done it because I have so many still all over the place, so I don't have to worry about it. But it's there when I need it. Got lemon verbena. Like I said, this is all the dinosaur kale from the original plant. More red vein sorrel, walking onions. There's garlic, chives, celery, everything growing through here. The dragon fruit. We've had so much dragon fruit this year. It has been unbelievable. Look at this. And Gary has plans, because he loves his dragon fruit, to get more dragon fruit going. And that's probably why he wanted those containers. He'll get into that on what he's going to do with it. He's got ideas. And then I've got to trim a lot of this back. The birds really get on here and chew the dickens out of it, especially the goldfinches, and that's okay. Isn't this beautiful? I'll tell you something. This time of the year, with it getting so cold at night, there's nothing sweeter than this greenish blue, beautiful leaf to chew on and eat, raw or cooked. It is so sweet. Everything else here is doing good. These totes also are 4 years plus old, going strong. I've got my mushroom plant, which we're trying to do cuttings off of right now and get more going. And then a lemon verbena and onions and celery and different types of kale growing in there and tree collard, and there's some broccoli in there too. So that's doing really good. Like I said, not much going on. I want to trim back the tomatoes that aren't doing good. I want to set this up better for the birds. And I want to set up a whole lot more water features in a nice way. They use their water features all day. A lot of those are kind of still in shade, so they're not really doing much yet. One of these are going good on the top of the bucket. And hint, if you're going to put water features up, I'll get into that more soon. This is the time to get your solar fountains. I'm not kidding. Let's walk through. This is the time to buy the solar panels and the fountain kits, because right now they're under $10. And come spring, I've seen them last year, I should say this year, they had them as high as $50, which was crazy. But they did have them. I hear a bird singing, and I'm not sure what they are. Could be a song sparrow, but I'm not sure. This is the hummingbird's favorite. But you know what? They've been using all of them, so I can't really say that. This is a special plant to me. This is a plant I grew from seed, not purposely. And I am crazy about this plant, so we're going to do a lot of cuttings. Look at the leaf. Look how round it is. What does it remind you of? It kind of looks like a dinosaur kale, but the leaf is the shape of a collard, but it tastes more sweet like a kale. This is a hybrid, because you'll see the purple veins as you look on the top from my dazzling blue kale, and I think it hybridized with the collard that was growing on the ground here. I've got collard that's been growing for quite a few years. See, this is the collard. And it's kind of old, so the leaves are small, but it had a lot of seed heads on it. See, this is the seed heads. And it was real tall. I had cut it back, and they were falling in here, and they grew a lot of different hybrids from it. See how long these leaves are? But see how round some of them are? So we've got like one plant that's got the nicest leaf, and it's this one. Let's see. I don't want to put the camera. Look at that. So I want to work with that plant. And the reason I want to work with that and get a lot of cuttings, and Gary's going to do a lot of cuttings off of it, is because every seed is different. And all the different ones that fell and did make it and grow are all different. This one's got round leaves. And then you go in there and you'll find another plant back here, a hybrid, that got long leaves. So we cannot reproduce this plant. The only way we can reproduce it, seeds will not work, will be like a tree collard. You're going to have to do cuttings and work off the one plant and really go through the plant as well, because maybe part of the trunk is a little different. So take the cuttings on the ones that have the really round leaf. And that's what we're going to do. This is also, it's leaned over. See how it's leaned over? Look how beautiful and round they are. And if it was planted correctly and taken care of, I bet you those leaves would even be bigger and rounder. And the reason I like that is you could do a wrap. You could steam them or use them raw and do a wrap with that. They're beautiful and sweet. So that is a keeper for us. Let's see what's over here. Here we've got just nothing really. Celery, walking onions. I've got my lemon balm still growing. Got to clean that up. I think it's root bound. Get that moved. Basically, like I said, everything's the same. That's all chocolate mint in there. A little bit of the strawberry mint there. Ick. We don't use strawberry mint. It smells good, but we don't make tea out of it. Sweet potato in here. I should see if there's any sweet potatoes. And then a lot of the walking onions, I got to clean it up. And there's still baby walking onions around I've got to collect. I really need to get that off today. And clean it up as spring comes or through the winter. Little by little, I'll clean it up. There's the tree color. That's green. I uncovered this a little bit because this is my dazzling blue kale, and it kind of got buggy the other day. So I uncovered it. Oh, wow. See, there's a little bit of insects in there. This thing was covered, so I uncovered the tool, and they've been really working the insects. I saw the white crowns in there, and then there was the little viros in there. I think they're Hutton viros. And there were bush tits. Everything was coming in there cleaning that plant off. Now I've got to watch it because the goldfinches will eat the greens off, and they ate that one and they killed it. Yeah, they did. They took every leaf off, and plants can't live without leaves. And then this is another tree colored. This is that old one. Oh, here's eggplant too. So let's see what else. Let me go through here. Eggplant in here. That one's not doing that great. This is the old tree colored. Now this one's still doing good, and this is where we're getting a lot of cuttings off of this one. This one's getting close to being taken out, but we'll see. See, here's a nice little cutting that can come off. But the other tree colored back there in the ground died. See, it's all brown. Whole thing died out. Not sure why. Also, we'll use some of those for art projects. So I'm not throwing anything away. I mean, look at this. Tell me this wouldn't be gorgeous. This looks like something you'd find in the desert. This could really be trimmed up and used for a really cool art project. That is colored. That is a color trunk. Isn't that gorgeous? To me, I find that beautiful. I look at this, and with the way nature did the holes, the way the leaves grew and the way the bark grew, I think this is gorgeous. I think there's a lot of things you can do with that. Even if it's just set up in the house with maybe plants or something, or a bird perch. So I'm going to kind of go through as I clean it up. The ones I don't want, I'll compost, and the ones I want, I'll set aside. But yeah, that one didn't make it back there. So that's pretty much it, because now we've kind of gone through the circle almost. And real quick, Gary's not really doing anything in here yet. He's got his sweet potatoes, cuttings, and stuff, but there's really nothing going on yet. I don't know if we'll do anything. He's got some trees, but nothing that he's planning on doing right now. I might put some stuff in the winter in here. So all in all, everything's the same. Here are totes I've got to clean up, and I've got, some Swiss chard growing. This I need to do some cuttings off of. I just started. Look how beautiful this purple curly kale is. It's just gorgeous. So I'm doing cuttings off of this. Tomato plant needs cleaning. Let's see, let's look over. And the papayas here. Let's see, he took one out. We can look in here. He said it started to rot. It was the original plant, so he took it out. He didn't want to take any chances of it killing the other ones, maybe just rotting, something happening, so he pulled it out. They're doing really good, and we're still getting, these get really small. They're not real big, the papayas. That's pretty much it. They get a little bit bigger than that, and these are the strawberry papayas, but the Mexican papayas are the best. Let's see, back here, I need to get those totes out. These are old totes I found in the trash. And I want to move this area because it's too bunched up for me. I mean, I've got to squeeze through here, and you got the moringa that really gets a lot of, growth on it in the summer, and then it shades this area out. I told Gary that's an old dog kennel that somebody had thrown away. That's what all these are, by the way. A big pet store, well known, threw these out. Somebody called me and said, if you want them, they just loaded them all by the dumpster. Oh, this was years and years ago. And they're worth a fortune, and they don't want it. They redid the grooming department. So Gary went down there, of course, and did truckloads and brought them all home. So that's, if you're asking what these are, that's what they are. I think he's going to move this and put this in his yard because I don't really have a use for it. I'd like to clear this area out and then decide, do I want to put a chair garden in here? Do I want to put something else? I don't know. no rush. So I'll think about it and see what we're going to do because it gets really shaded. So I have to think of what I want to do. Let's walk through here. Like I said, I really almost didn't do a garden tour today because there isn't any change. I don't see any change. Citrus trees, you've seen our citrus trees. They're just starting to grow new growth. So we'll have some citrus on it soon. This is the rosemary. That's from the 99-cent store years ago. This is a massive bush. We've got what? 1, 2, 3. I think we've got 4 of them. It was in a pot and had different plants in it with rosemary and just stuck them in the ground. Didn't do anything special, and they turned into massive bushes, which is wonderful. That's why I don't grow it in, in small pots. Look at the papayas. Is it safe to say we're sick of papayas? Almost. Look at that. Look at that. We have so many papayas. He can't pick them quick enough. We've got them in the freezer. The dogs, oh, there's another ripe one up there. The tool does help. It may not help for everything, but it really seems to help for a lot of the critters that don't want to get their nails stuck in it. So we just wrap it around. It really is good if you're going to use tool in a way like this is to tie it. Because when I just throw it around and I don't tie it on, then they climb and they get stuck in it and it falls on the ground and then they go back up. So I have to remember to tie it. I've got some tied here. It's wired on and that prevents them from going up there. It's not going to stop a bird from going up there because I haven't covered any of the papayas, but it does seem to really deter a lot of rodents from going up there. And then of course I've got my totes that I never planted in this year. See, there's a rosemary there and there's another rosemary back there. So all in all, that's pretty much it. I did the full circle with you. We haven't done anything with the chairs. They're all social distancing. And now it's a good time, this time of the year. I'll sit for a minute to just stop and think about what you want to do. And that's what I'm doing now. What do I want to do? I want to set up a few things on the wall. I want to slowly go through all these containers and start to compost them. Put them in containers that aren't growing anything. Cater to the few squash that are really still producing a lot of zucchini. Zucchini is my favorite. Actually, I'm almost thinking of only growing zucchini. And this is a good time to unwind. Kick back, watch Christmas movies, come out here, work here and there, and think about what I want to do. Like I said, I still have plenty of food. The truck bed is loaded with squash. The chair garden's got parsley and celery and now peppers growing. So I don't have to rush. Come spring, you want to rush because you want to freeze a lot. And I freeze, I don't can, but there's nothing wrong with canning. But I've bagged up a lot of tomatoes, a lot of tomatillos. I've bagged up and frozen papaya. And now is kind of the time when you want to, especially, it's been a tough year. I will say 2020's been a year that I can safely say nobody really in their life have lived through this. Even if you're over 100 years old, because I knew a lady that was 107, just still would not have remembered what they went through over 100 years ago. So it is different. It is different. It's a year that nobody has ever seen in their life. And everybody's handling it different. Of course, there's great days and then there's sad days and bad days and good days. We just have to get through it, do something, keep occupied. Be it gardening, be it crafts. You can do all kinds of crafts this time of the year. I'm making hummingbird swings now, and I'll share that with you. The birds love it. There's a lot of things we can do this time of the year until we're back in our warmer weather if you're here in the States. Look at this cute little swing. And if you want to know how I made the beads on there, I can share that with you too. I made these beads, and the birds can come and sit here and swing. And I've got them out my window now. And it's just so much fun. I actually went to a bead show a few years ago, and a lady was making those same beads. And I said to her, "Are you open for suggestions?" And she said, "Sure. What do you want to tell me? You've made your beads beautiful, but you're putting too much hard work in the wrong place." So I showed her how I make mine, and she was so excited. She showed me how to make a box. She was making boxes out of paper. So she got to change her beads around because she was selling them, and I don't have time to do that. It was something I had thought about because I can make the beads all different, but I love that little swing. So there's a lot of things we can do to try to unwind and even watch some Christmas movies. Go on YouTube, see what people are doing, analyze what they're doing, and think about it if it sounds logical, and if it doesn't, watch it and think, that's not what I want to do. I think buckets are going to be a great way to do some gardening. I've had people tell me they don't have a lot of space, then use buckets. You can put all the leaves you want on the bottom, so you don't have to waste filling up a bucket with soil. And then you can plant on the top whatever you want, and you can pick it up, it's got a handle, and move it anywhere you want. It's the easiest thing to move. Totes you can move, but you got to take some of the soil out. A bucket, you just grab it and move it. Put it on a chair, put it on a pedestal, put it on some bricks, put it on the ground. Whatever way we want. We'll get more into buckets later, but I even ordered some more buckets today that are coming. Walmart's got them for $3. I am going to be setting up a lot of buckets, because even if I want to set up a chair garden, let's say really quick over here, if I've got a whole bunch of buckets with all kinds of leaves and some native soil, handfuls, literally only handfuls, I can pick up that bucket, walk over, dump it into a tote, and then I can start to plant. And if I want, I can add some potting soil right on the top and get going, and I can save money, because you can put out hundreds and hundreds of dollars of potting soil. Doing it this way, you're not going to spend that much at all, because you could get one big bag and it can really save you a lot of money if you're going to start making your own soil. And I'm going to tell you something. Personally, I think it's better. Read the package. You're not getting anything fantastic in a bag of potting soil. You're getting broken down matter. I think it's good to start with potting soil on the top, but it's really good to make your own to put underneath. Save money if you need to. If you don't need to and you want to go buy 20, 30, 40 bags, like the first time I gardened out here, about 44 bags of potting soil, then buy it. But if you don't have the money, make your own. You'll be ready. Come spring, you don't have to think about it, because you'll already have buckets. You'll be collecting leaves. They're broken down. They don't have to be completely broken down, because you're going to fill a tote or fill an area or a raised bed with the stuff you've been collecting, and then you're going to top it with the best potting soil or the best soil you've got, and then start growing. In the meantime, everything is going to continue to have its own ecosystem going on underneath, with everything still continuing to break down, and you'll end up with a garden. Make it fun. Make it easy, and if you need to, make it cheap, and you'll do it forever. Make it hard, make it a job, make it work, make it stressful, and it won't last. And it will not become a regular routine in your lifetime. You really want to do gardening as part of a regular routine in your lifetime that's fun and easy and stress-free. You're going to have a little stress if you lose a plant. It's a plant. Pull it out, think of it as compost, keep going. And then you will do it forever. And it's good, because a little good food goes a long, long way. And these days, we need as much good food as we possibly can get. And with that, I've talked your ear off. Sorry about that. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye.